Good morning, TMS family, and welcome back to the show. Right now, I am joined by the owner of the bookshop, Sewela Langeni. Sewela, you have 5 books for us this morning. Please do tell us more.
First is The Resurrection by Sihle Kwabe. It's a story that is a thrilling mystery, suspense, danger, and daring about the Zulu family. So Sihle is a young author that has just given us this novel.
Yeah.
It's about a family that's based in KZN.
Interesting.
And they run a nightclub. And this nightclub might be taken away because the father, Bantu, who starts it, dies. Now his business associates wants to come take it. So now the family has to fight. He's got 3 sons, Hector, Blessing, and Victor have to now fight to keep the club carrying on. So it's a story about love, a story about family, it's a story about wealth and township life. You know, there's lots of talks around township economy. This is showing us that is a real thing through this family.
Yeah.
There's a lot of underworld stuff, drug trafficking, you know, money laundering.
Wow.
But
Very
it's an exciting book that I think will be very enjoyable to our readers.
I agree. Very, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this one with us. So what is next?
The Ek Dalema Bat Morabo Morojele is a second novel by this acclaimed author of How We Buried Pito. It's a novel about, you know, people, there's a civil war.
Yes.
The main character, E.G. Mushlala, is the sad, lonely character.
Yeah.
So he has a whole lot of friends and they have to survive the civil war.
Yes.
So issues of poverty, issues of violence, even though it could be set in Lesotho, but it could be anywhere.
It could be anywhere
around the world. So why Three-Leg Dilemma? He tells a wonderful story that's so funny. So he says there was a time when he was very poor and he lived on eggs. He had 2 eggs a day.
Funny title. I get it now. Yeah.
So he had 2 eggs a day, and there was a day when he had 4 eggs left and 1 broke.
Wow.
So now he had 3 eggs.
3-egg dilemma.
Does he eat 1 the next day? Does he eat all 3? And so the book is about choices. Making choices.
Wow.
So it's definitely also a good read.
Okay, so next we have...
Next is A Soft Landing by Wisani Mushwana.
Yes.
Is a book about Adzani. Is a young gay man that's based in Cape Town but originally from Limpopo, who has to deal with skeletons from his past when he gets a call to go back home because his mother is not well. Going back home strikes up this whole thing, this memory, something happened to him, which he repressed, and that's what's affecting his ability to interact with other people.
Yes.
So this story is about showing us that, you know, the past, if you don't deal with it,
it comes
follows
back.
you.
Yeah.
So that's exactly it. So we're not gonna spoil and say what happens.
Yes.
People have to read the book, A Soft Landing. But yeah, it's a story about love, it's a story about courage, it's a story about just finding yourself. It's a coming of age story.
It's a coming of age. No, it is actually a very, very interesting title. I really wonder what the author had in mind when, you know, he wrote it. Soft Landing. No, I absolutely love that. Okay.
Next book is Dieres Mariki by Luisa Zondo. Luisa Zondo is an advocate, a political activist, and this book is about dealing with grief and trauma of her own life personally, but also losing her son, famous rapper Ricky Rick. So the book opens up with letters that Louisa writes. She's actually a mountain climber. She climbs Everest, and every day as she's writing, she writes a journal note to Mariki explaining her grief.
Yes.
And she says that Ricky always had questions about herself, to say, you seem closed up.
Yes.
What happened to you? So she also shares of her own trauma growing up. Though she grew up very well, she was in an orderly family. Her family had a shop growing up in KZN. Everything was orderly, but a traumatic event happens to her.
Wow.
And over time, you'll learn about it if you read the book.
Yes, as you read the book. So
Yeah.
this book is actually quite interesting. You know, as you mentioned, it is a mother who is trying to come to terms with the grief of losing a son. So I can just imagine, you know, how it must be. But we'll be looking out for that one for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, so next we've
got Winnie and Nelson, A Portrait of Marriage, last but not least. And
Last
it's a
but not
thick
least.
book. So it's a book that you don't just drive through. You take your time. So the book is about former President Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela that we love so much. So a book is a biography of both of their lives, but talking about their marriage. So you would know that a lot has been written about them and their marriage. We there's a lot that we think we know about their marriage. So Johnny Steinberg is an academic and he's based in Oxford, United Kingdom, but he's a South African writer that's got more than 10 books below his belt, so he knows what he's talking about. So the book talks about their love story, their different personalities. I mean, when Mam Winnie and Tat Mandela met, there was infidelity because Tat Mandela was married at the time. And then she then went on to have her own infidelities. So it's very juicy, but it's also, heartfelt because these are our struggle icons.
Yes, and very historical figures, as we should be mentioned. So I can imagine that, Johnny has brought together this compilation of stories, that speak to these historical figures. So, and especially that it will be looking into marriage. I think that is a different spin on it because there's been a lot of literature about these two historical figures, but this one might be one to look out for. Thank you so much, Sewela, for having us on the show and offering us your selection of books. It was an amazing chat indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was no stranger to the show, Sewela Langeni, here at the Book Circle Capital, telling us more about her selection of books. Thank you so much, TMS family, for joining us.